Yeah, hello there everybody. This video is to show you exactly what I'm expecting for our assignment for class over the weekend. I've got a lot of people who asked a lot of questions and a lot of parents who I'm sure are going to be confused, concerned, and otherwise. So here is what you're supposed to do. First off, I have uploaded on the Schoology website our Basil experiment assignment. On that assignment, you will see this list of requirements. I've included how and what to put in, essentially, in this PowerPoint. So if your kid fills out this PowerPoint with the information from their lab sheet that they had in their lab tab from science class, they should be in great shape. Please take a look at our first slide that's got Basil plant experiment and a spot for the name. Now, when you download this from Schoology's website, you might have a button up here that says Enable Editing. You need to click that. There'll be a yellow band and a button to click Enable Editing. If you don't click that, you won't be able to type anything, and then you'll be sad and emailing saying, I can't type in the email. And that is correct, because you need to have the part that says Enable Editing clicked so that you can edit the document. Next, we'll go to slide number 2, question number 1. So with number 1, ask a question. This is where you're asking the question. Remember, what was the question? What was that question from our science lab? It had something to do with coffee and basil plants. So what were we doing with that experiment? What were we trying to find out? What was it? What was it? Step number 2. By the way, in case you don't know, we were trying to see if coffee would cause plants to grow larger than basil plants. Number 2, we've got research. For research, here's where we're going to include the information that we found out about plants and water. So we're going to include research about plants and water. You should also have that on your lab tab. If you do not, you're going to want to pay close attention and write that down for our next one. That will help you out immensely. Step 3, the hypothesis. Here's where we put our if-then statement. Remember, our if-then statement simply said, if I give one plant coffee, then it will grow, and you're going to fill in this blank. You either think it's going to grow bigger or smaller than the plant that received water. And you're going to put in that fill in the blank part, whether you think that plant's going to grow larger or smaller. Number 4, here's where you're going to list your 4 variables. Remember that we had the independent variable, we had the control variable, we had the dependent variable, and we have, of course, had the constant variable. Now, ladies and gentlemen, remember, please, the independent variable is the thing that we're changing, so that's the different thing, that's the weird thing. So what's weird about our experiment? Then we've got the control variable, and that is what it is that we are keeping the same, so what's being kept the same in our experiment. Then we've got the dependent variable. This is what we're measuring, so what is it that we're measuring in our experiment? And then here is our constant variable. Our constant variable is simply everything else that we could have changed that didn't. That could include things like sunlight, location, that could include the types of plants, anything else that was kept the same. Now let's go over to list the steps. This is where you're going to say what we did. So what did we do to the plant that got water? What did we do to the plant that got coffee? And then Did we measure the plants? We sure did. Next, you are going to observe, record data. This is the part where I made that other awesome video on how to create a chart and exactly what you need to do. So go ahead and check out that super cool chart. As well as this is where I made that part where you can insert the table and include the table piece. Okay, that would go there as well. Step 6, analyze and conclude. So analyze and conclude, this is where we would include what we found out. What happened to the control variable? What happened to the independent variable? Then you're going to tell me whether or not your hypothesis was true or false. Did those plants grow larger or smaller than you thought they would? Then that's going to tell me if it's true or false. Finally, communicate results. What would you change in the future? How would you improve the experiment? And that, my friends, is what is expected. You can do this in PowerPoint. If you would rather do this in the other format that is not PowerPoint, you can do that. If you want to do it in Google Slides or the Apple presentation thing, you can do that, just as long as you're able to upload it to Schoology. Speaking of Schoology, here is our homework tab. You can see that I've got the basil plant experiment right here. After I finish, I'm going to post the how to do the presentation in this how-to videos tab right here. And you'll have both those things in handy, convenient places. So to turn it in, you'll click the basil plant experiment. And over here, you will click on where it says to submit. Don't worry if it says late. You're not turning it in late if you're turning it in. I don't know why that says September 7th. We'll have to change that. But don't worry if it does say late. You're okay. So long as you get it turned in before next week. All right. And that, my friends, is how the cookie crumbles. If you have questions, please email me or send me a message in Schoology. Thanks.